Hello friends, thank you for watching this video. I am Mohamad and today we're going to be discussing how we can read our configuration inside app settings, inside our controllers or anywhere inside our .NET Web APIs. We're going to be going through two different examples in order for us to see how we can accomplish this. So the reason we might want to actually read the configuration inside app settings, we might have some configuration there, for example for an email provider, third-party APIs, etc, that will be useful in order for us to access them. So in this video, we're going to be covering this. So let's get started. So first of all, what I want to do is I want to create my web API. So I'm going to put .NET new web API, make it as controllers, and I'm going to give it a name of sample API. Perfect. Now it's open. Let's open this in Rider. So now that my application has opened successfully, as we can see here, I have a normal controllers and I have normal program.cs. Nothing out of the ordinary other than a template that .NET generates when I create my application. So what I want to do here, I'm just going to make this a bit simpler. I'm just going to remove all of this unnecessary code here inside my weather controller, and I'm just going to clean this up. I'm going to return here an iAction result, and I'm just going to return an OK for now. Pretty straightforward, nothing really interesting here. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to go to my app settings, and inside my app settings I want to add my custom configuration. So I'm going to put custom config, and inside my custom config I'm going to put two different keys. The first one is going to be, for example, email key, and this can be 1 2 3 4 5 6. So if I'm using any email services, I can use this key in order for me to authenticate against it. Another one, it could be like admin email, for example, where I don't want it to be hard-coded in the code, so I can put, for example, admin@dust.com, and the last configuration, let's say API URL, and here it could be, say, https api.dust.com, something around those lines. So inside here, my custom configuration, I have three different items that I can actually retrieve. One of them is a key, the other one's an email address, and the other one is a API URL. So the main reason that we want to have information inside my app settings is because I can inject them on runtime. So whatever I input here, we can actually override them when our application is running in a production environment. So we don't have to really hard code this inside our application. We can rely on the configuration to inject them in during the runtime, which is exactly what we want. So now that I have done this, now let's see how we can actually start accessing them through my weather forecast controller. So the first way is I'm going to utilize private iConfiguration. I'm going to call it configuration, and then I'm going to initialize it through the constructor. So now that has been initialized through the constructor, as we can see here, I can actually rely on this configuration in order for me to access all of these different app settings. So inside my get controller, what I want to do right now is I'm going to utilize this underscore configuration in order for me to get the data that I want. So inside my app settings, we can have the email key. So I'm just going to create a variable for, I'm going to call it email key equal. So we're going to put underscore configuration get section, and the section that I want to actually refer to here is going to be the first parent section, which is custom config. So I'm going to add this here, and then once I have specified my primary section, now I want to specify the child section. So I'm going to put again get section, and the section that I want to get right now is going to be my email key. And now once I have done that, I can just put dot value, and I can actually now see this. So what I want to do right now is I'm just going to return a simple string inside my OK saying email key, and it's going to be email key. So let's check this out. I'm going to run this. It's going to open in Swagger, and as we can see here in Swagger, if I open this up, click on try it out, click on execute, we can see that I was able to get my email key directly printed out on my screen, because basically I was able to read this configuration directly from my application, from my app settings. So perfect. So that's how I can read the first one. Let's do the same thing for the rest. So the other one which I want to actually extract, which is going to be the admin email, var admin email, same process, configuration .get section. Let's copy paste it, custom config. Then we're going to put get section, and this section here is going to be the admin email .value, and lastly it's going to be the URL equal underscore configuration .get section, similar custom config .get section, and we're going to put the same thing here as API URL. And now if I want to print them out, I can just add them like this. So now if we run our application, we should be able to see it running. And now if I click on execute again, as we can see here, I was able to get my email key, the admin as well. Oops, we have here a problem, so let's see what it is. And I forgot to put dot value at the end, so let's stop this and run it again. Perfect. So now if I go here, click on execute, we'll be able to see that I have everything, my API key, my admin, as well as my URL. Perfect. So this has been the first way of how I can actually access my configuration. Now we can see the second way. So inside Rider, I'm gonna stop this, and what I want to do here is just, I'm going to put underneath so I can see the comparison. So again, I'm going to put var email key v2, for example, and what I'm going gonna do here is I'm gonna rely also on the configuration, and then I'm gonna put get value, and then I'm gonna specify the value that I'm extracting, which is gonna be string. And here, instead of actually putting the two different get sections, what I need to do is I'm gonna put the parent one, then I'm gonna put the child one. And now if I want to just print out my email key, and I'm gonna remove the rest because we're gonna be adding them later. And now if I run this again, and let's go to my web browser and I click on execute, as we are able to see, I was able to get the same response back within this new section that we have introduced, or this new method that we have just introduced. Perfect. So as we can see here, rather than relying on trying to get two different sections, I was able to get value and specify the exact key that I want, and everything has been wired up for me in order for me to get my key value. So this has been one of the easiest way to do this, where I'm relying on actually typing the configuration name inside my app settings in order for me to get that. There's another way where we can actually accomplish this by having a much more structured approach. And the way to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new directory. I'm just going to call it configuration, and inside my configuration here I'm going to create a new class, and I'm just going to call class custom config in order for it to match whatever I have inside my app settings. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create three properties, type string. The first one, it has to have the name email key, so it will match it. The second one, it will be the admin email, and the third one will be my API URL. So what I have done here is basically I created a class, and inside this class I have defined the three variables, and these variables will match exactly what I currently have inside my app settings. So once I have done that, in order for me to attach this custom config class within my app settings, what I want to do inside my program.cs, I'm going to add the following. I'm going to put builder.services.configure, and I'm gonna map it here. So I'm gonna say the configuration is gonna be for custom config, and it's gonna require me here to specify which section that I want to map. Now it's going to ask me which section that I want to map to, so I'm going to put builder.configuration.getSection, and the section here is going to be the section that I currently have here, so it's going to be custom config, and that should be it within my program.cs, where I was actually able to map out that this custom class, custom config, will automatically map to whatever I have within my custom config here inside my get section. So now what I'm doing is I'm mapping this configuration to this class whenever I'm trying to initialize it. So once I have done this, now we can see the other way again, similar in my controller. So instead of relying on iConfiguration here, what I want to do is I'm going to create a private read-only iOptions, and then I'm going to here rely on my custom config. I'm gonna call it custom config, and let's add the package. Okay, perfect. Now what I want to do is I want to initialize it through my constructor. So if I take a look here, we can see that my custom config has been automatically been initialized inside my constructor. And now what I want to do, if I want to get my email key, I can do this following. So var email key v3 equal custom config. So I'm going to put underscore custom config dot values email key. And now if I want to just print out my email key v3 inside my return, I'm going to remove this because it's getting a bit cluttered. So now if I try to run this like this, we should be able to see that I'm getting it directly through email key v3, which is going to be through my custom configuration. So now if I run this, go to my web browser and click on execute, we can see here I'm getting my configuration back. So if I go back here and I decided that I want to get my admin emails, I'm going to put var email, for example, equal underscore config.values admin email, and then now here I can attach my admin email. And if I stop and run this again, go back to my web browser, click on execute, we'll be able to see I was able to get my admin email. So we can see here the main differences. Then the first way, what I'm actually trying to do is I'm actually trying to map different configuration section inside my app settings in order for me to get the value. On the other hand, the second way is I'm trying to utilize dependency injection in order for me to get the configurations whenever the application starts up, and then I can utilize them inside my controller based on how I need them to do. So these are the two different ways. My opinion here is that I like to use option number 2, which is basically rely on a mapped configuration, so I can avoid any types of typos error, I can avoid any types of misconfiguration that I might add a letter, lowercase, uppercase, etc, etc, and I have a much more strongly typed configuration section that I can utilize. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, please make sure you put them in the comments down below. If you'd like to support me, please consider supporting me on Patreon or buying me a coffee. With that said, thank you very much for watching and have a great day.